The Singapore Grand Prix will run with an alternative layout this year, and although this was supposed to create more opportunities for overtaking, the FIA have failed the drivers to facilitate this. At least, that's what the drivers are saying, but is that the whole truth? Well, according to the FIA, the drivers and their teams have left the FIA on red, resulting in the FIA not adding a fourth DRS zone. The drivers have not taken that decision lightly, resulting in another public battle between the drivers and FIA. Let's find out what's going to happen this weekend. The lap record at Singapore's Marina Bay track, established by Lewis Hamilton in qualifying for the 2018 race on the increasingly distant memory purple-walled Hypersoft tyre, will be shattered this weekend. It is almost probable that it will be surpassed immediately in first practice, probably by whomever posts the first actual flying lap, weather allowing. And this isn't because F1 cars are suddenly considerably quicker than they were 5 years ago, but because the Singapore track, notably one portion, maybe its most visually recognizable, will look nothing like it has throughout the preceding 13 years on the F1 calendar. Turns 16, 17, 18 and 19 of the new layout, all tight, slow-speed bends with 18 and 19 forming the instantly recognized tunnel section, will be absent this year. Instead, the final four corners of the track will make up turns 16 to 19, having previously been turns 20 to 23. So a four-corner stretch running right-left, left-right will be streamlined, with the track continuing along Raffles Avenue for a 400-meter straight. Although it appears that the four corners were removed to enhance overtaking, the removal was forced by non-F1 issues, especially the replacement of the Marina Bay floating platform which was in this stretch of track. The float is being demolished to make way for NS Square, which will be a distinctive, attractive and flexible community and events venue, as well as a dedicated site for National Day parades, when finished in 2026. The layout alteration is thus, in principle, transitory, not necessarily until 2026, and given that the race's contract currently continues until 2028, there is surely already a plan in place for how those four corners will be reintegrated. The obvious side effects is a shortened lap time, though the reduction in actual lap time is minor, roughly 100 meters or 2%. The absence of four basically 90-degree turns will certainly have a significant impact on the average lap speed. This will bring Marina Bay more in line with the average F1 track lap time, as it previously existed as a longer lap outlier compared to F1 circuits other than Spa-Francorchamps or Baku, though it wasn't a long enough lap to really stand out and meaningfully impact qualifying or race strategies. More importantly, by cutting the lap time, but not the lap length, the race time will be reduced. Regulations require F1 races to be run over the fewest amount of laps feasible, 305 km plus. That was 61 in the old arrangement. It will be 62 under the new configuration, but not only will the overall distance be shorter, 306 km instead of 309, but it will also be run at a faster average pace, assuming a green flag race throughout, which admittedly is maybe a foolish assumption for Singapore. It's a slight improvement, but one that drivers may appreciate for what is usually regarded as the most physically demanding race of the year, owing to the mix of layout and humidity. It's probably going to make it slightly less demanding physically. It's going to be faster, so it's probably going to last for a shorter time, so we'll lose less liquid and be slightly less demanding, said Haas driver Kevin Magnussen. It's also 4 less times of danger in terms of hitting the wall, making the track safer as well, but it comes at a cost of strategy battles between the teams. The Singapore circuit was never the most demanding in terms of pure tyre degradation, thus the usage of the Hypersoft, but it is hot enough that tyre overheating is a concern. The 4 traction zones exiting the previous turns 16 to 19 did not help. Replacing them with a straight, which will help cool the tyres even if the air isn't very cool, will leave them better able to manage the right-left 90-degree sequence that did stick around, as well as the 2 rapid left-handers that follow. It will also benefit brakes and potentially overall cooling via airflow. The question of whether it will accomplish the other things straights are normally supposed to do, namely aid in overtaking, appears to be more challenging. None of the layout's 3 DRS zones will be located on the new straight. To function as an overtaking chance, it will most likely need the following scenario: a driver getting close to the car ahead with DRS coming out of turn 13, keeping close enough into the abrupt turn 14 right-hander, and then making the move without the help of drag reduction technology. We won't know whether there's enough of a straight for that to be very feasible until Sunday. And exactly those corners that track layout improvements will not improve overtaking have led Formula 1 drivers to petition the FIA to add a 4th DRS zone to the 2023 Singapore Grand Prix circuit. The iconic 90-degree bends that previously made up turns 16 to 19 have been replaced with a kinked back straight due to a development work around Marina Bay. Despite the curve, drivers expected a fourth DRS zone to aid in overtaking into the lower speed turn 16-17 chicane. The FIA, on the other hand, has stayed with 3. It is believed that changes, like as an additional DRS zone, are proposed in advance to the teams, but will only be implemented if adequate input is received. Valtteri Bottas of Alfa Romeo said the issue will be discussed at the drivers' briefing on Friday. He said of the track changes, "It's going to be better, but if it's actually going to make a difference in terms of will it be a race that you can actually overtake easily, I don't think so. It's going to be a hard track to overtake. Most drivers were expecting to have another DRS zone for the new back straight. I'm sure it's going to be a discussion point." Esteban Ocon stated that scans of the circuit may have misrepresented surface roughness and the severity of the kink, allowing for a last-minute testing. The Alpine racer explained, "We're all pushing at the moment to give another DRS zone a try. The FIA is concerned about safety in that little left kink. I reckon personally, and the other drivers too, that it's not going to be an issue. We're pushing at the moment to be able to try at least in FP1, see how it feels, and if it's okay, potentially keep it. There's no reason why we would not be able to keep it. In the simulator, there was a big bump on that left kink, which could be the cause of not having it, but I don't think it's there in real life. I reckon that's an issue from scanning with the walls being there and it's fast and all that. But even if we want to be really safe, we just put the DRS zone after the turn 15 kink. We're going to be in 5th gear, so really the drag effect comes after that kink, so we can put it after. Due to apparent safety issues, the FIA is unlikely to approve the driver's proposal to test a DRS zone in FP1. And when questioned on it, the FIA revealed that the Formula 1 teams failed to establish a clear consensus on an extra DRS zone for the 2023 Singapore Grand Prix. Effectively saying, "Hey guys, we gave you the opportunity to show us why the drivers need a 4th DRS point, but you haven't responded. So we're not going to do it, and you'll have to live with the consequences." This of course prompted the drivers to voice dissatisfaction with a lack of a 4th DRS zone on the revamped back straight, citing worries about a lack of overtaking at the Marina Bay track, like we've just heard. Drivers intend to use the Friday briefing to press the FIA for an additional DRS zone, although any trial for FP1 is highly unlikely to be approved owing to safety worries over its hasty nature. Maybe they'll be able to come to an agreement of adding it for the second free practice, but knowing the FIA, they'll probably have to drive the weekend without it. But it seems the FIA have already cleared the air on why. It's all the team's fault according to them, as the FIA stated that while it was initially open to adopt adjustments to the configuration, there was no clear consensus when teams were approached ahead of the weekend's Grand Prix. A statement read, "We won't be assessing any additional DRS zones for the Singapore Grand Prix. It is something that was considered following the change in layout for this year, and the FIA contacted all teams several weeks ago to ask for their feedback and input. There was, however, no clear consensus from those teams that responded, and following our safety simulations, it was decided that we wouldn't take the matter any further." According to the FIA, not all teams answered to the governing body, and the consultation process began months in advance. A case of a missed chance by the teams then? The drivers won't be happy about it because Singapore is such a hard track to overtake. Adding a DRS on the one-time straight would have massively helped them. But in the end, they always want more DRS zones. So are they just whining? Or is there some truth to it? What do you think? Would you like to see another DRS zone added? And what are your thoughts on the comments from the drivers? Are they just moaning or do they have a point? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. At least we can be sure that we'll see the lap record get smashed, even by AlphaTauris. Bring on the weekend.